Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga with Heini. I'm Heini, and this week I'm going to take you through an after work slow flow yoga practice. We're going to give some much needed movement for the spine, the hips, the whole body. Let's get started. For this week's practice, you don't necessarily need any props, but if you know that for poses like pigeon or lizard, you'd like to have some props or cushioning under hips or knees, then have something soft or maybe a yoga block somewhere nearby if you know that you might like to use some props for those poses. Otherwise, no props needed, just your mat, your practice space, and we shall get started. We're going to start in child's pose today. So when you are ready, come into your child's pose. You can decide if you want to have your legs wider apart for this, or if you want to bring legs close together. And then just walk your hands forward and lean your chest, your head down, either down onto the mat, or you could bring your hands under the head. Or if you have a way of using props in this pose, you're very welcome to prop your head or maybe the pelvis. We're going to take maybe about 5 breaths here. Let's just give ourselves a bit of time to settle in. You don't need to count your breaths, but it's about 5 breaths. It might be a bit more, it might be a bit less for you. Give yourself some time to slow down the breath and arrive onto the mat, arrive into your body. Let your awareness slide down from your head, from your mind down to the body. A bit of checking in how we're feeling now. Where there might be tightness in the body at the end of the working day. Where you might want to create some movement, maybe some gentle stretching through the body. Take a couple of breaths in this child's pose, and then we'll start to move more. And try to keep your breath with you as we go through the movements. As much as possible, stay focused on the breaths and let the breathing guide you through the movements. When you feel ready to move on from your child's pose, slowly bring yourself up into a seat. And you could either stay seated on your shins, just coming up from a child's pose, or if you'd rather come sit in a cross-legged pose, that is an option as well. We're going to first inhale, lengthen arms up towards the ceiling, and then interlock fingers and bring hands behind the head, behind the neck, so that your elbows are pointing out. Take another breath in and now open your chest. Add a small back bend into your spine. You could look up. Next exhalation, round your upper spine and close your chest, and also bring the elbows in front of you. Same again. With your next in-breath, open the chest, open the elbows, maybe a small back bend. You could lean your head onto your hands. Next exhalation, start to close the chest, rounding the neck, the upper spine, the elbows come in. Another 3 rounds with your own breath. Inhalation, opening the chest. Exhalation, closing the chest. And inhaling, opening through the front, Try to keep tops of the shoulders soft. Let the hands support the head. Exhalation, closing in through the chest, and you decide how much you want to round the neck, the upper back. One more time. And then find a neutral spine and slowly release the arms down. You could roll the shoulders a couple of times. And then walk hands in front of you. We're going to come up into downward dog. So tuck the toes under, lift your pelvis up. Now, hopefully a nice release for the feet, for the backs of the legs after that seated pose. You could pedal from one foot to the other. Breathe in and out. And let the heavy head drop down. And give yourself another 3 breaths in your downward dog. You might either settle into the pose, find a bit of stillness, or feel free to keep moving. Don't force yourself to stay still. If now this is the time to move, then let your whole body move. Let the movement, the breath flow through the body. After your 3 breaths, slowly walk hands towards your feet so that you would arrive into a full forward bend. And now after that downward dog, I suggest releasing the hands, releasing the arms. You could either hang them down or you could hold your elbows, and that might release the upper back, the arms more. Feel free to rock gently from side to side. And sometimes it's the movement that releases tension more. Keep the heavy head hanging down. Take another couple of breaths in and out here in this dangling pose. And then if you are moving, bring yourself back to the center. Now bring hands onto the mat and take just a couple of steps forward with your hands so that you could slightly lean onto the hands and bring more weight onto your toes in your forward bend, maybe giving a bit more stretch for the calves or just a different kind of opening at the backs of the legs. So leaning weight more towards the toes, the fronts of the feet. Heels might still stay down, so we're not coming onto tippy toes, but just leaning the weight forward. Take another breath or 2 in and out here, opening the full back line of the body. And then we continue walking forward back into downward dog. Now just as a transition pose. From this downward facing dog, slowly shift the weight forward and bring your left knee onto the mat, preparing for a gate pose. So step the left hand a bit further forward along the mat, and then inhale, start to turn your pelvis, your chest towards the long side of the mat. Inhale, let the right arm lift up, and exhale, coming into side bend. Let the right arm slowly move over the head, bending towards the floor, bending towards the left arm. And just lightly press down through the right foot. And see if you could keep the front side open. You might even slightly exaggerate by gently pushing the hips, the pelvis forward. Trying to open through the whole right side body. Maybe getting to the hip flexor line a bit as well. Take another breath or two in and out here. Giving a nice juicy side bend for the whole body. And then slowly release that right arm back down. Bring the hand all the way down to the mat. Bring both knees to the mat. And we'll do that side bend to the other side. So now extend your left leg behind you. Step right hand a bit further forward on the mat. And then turn your chest, your pelvis to the other long side of the mat. Now left arm floating up. Inhale. And as you exhale, you could let that left arm slowly lean, reach next to the head. And we're opening the whole left side of the body. And again, you could exaggerate slightly that opening at the front of the pelvis by just gently bringing the pelvis forward towards that long side of the mat in front of you. And breathe, the left foot gently pressing down. Take another breath in and out. Enjoy that opening on the left side. And then we start to release that gate pose. Release the left arm down, bring hands, bring both knees to the mat. And then sit onto your shins, sit down onto the heels. And I'll bring arms behind the back, interlock fingers, and then inhale towards the chest, opening at the front of the chest and shoulders. And just breathe here. You might gaze slightly higher up, but don't force the neck. If it's better to lean the chin to the chest, that is very fine as well. Where do you need movement? Where do you need a bit of a stretch at the end of the working day? Breathe a couple more times in and out. Nice full breaths. And then slowly release the arms. Once more, walk hands in front of you. Tuck the toes under. Lift back into downward dog. Again, after that seated pose, now open the backs of the legs. And from here, we're going to come into the pigeon pose. So you could slowly look forward, shift the weight towards the hands, and first bring your left knee, left shin forward closer to the hands. And then you could slide your right leg a bit further back. And if here there's any pain in that left knee or hip, bring a prop, maybe a block or a pillow under that left hip if needed. Or you could also lean onto the left hip, bend the right leg behind you. That might be a kinder way to do this pose in that front leg. So you choose back leg straight or bend. And we're going to keep this as an upright pigeon today. Opening across the chest. This might also bring a bigger opening at the front of that back leg. And just breathing here. Try not to stress the arms too much. We are supporting through the arms, but keep shoulders soft. If your back is complaining, keeping it upright, you might step hands a bit further forward, still keeping the chest open, but that might help you take stress off the lower back if you feel there's too big of a back bend going on there. And take another couple of breaths in and out in your pigeon. And then slowly, we're going to bring more weight back onto the hands, and we're going to come up onto all fours, extending the left leg behind us. And with the right knee on the mat, the left leg extended, keep the left foot toes tucked under, rock back and forth a few times. Just kind of gently pumping into that left foot, left ankle, maybe getting into the calf a bit. Also giving the wrists some movement back and forth. Couple more times. And then you bring both knees on the mat. Tuck both feet, toes under, downward dog. Now just a brief transition downward dog. This time we'd like to now step the right foot forward to the hands. So we come into a lunge and we're going to make this a lizard pose. So lower your left knee down and leave your left hand on the mat. We're going to inhale, twist out to the right side and reach the right arm behind you. Now you could either stay here, maybe rest the right arm behind the back, or you'd be very welcome to bend the left knee and reach right hand to the left foot. If it feels quite challenging to reach for the foot, if you have a block there, bring the block under your left hand, and that helps you to lift the chest a bit higher up, which then helps you to reach more to that foot behind you. But you don't have to hold a foot. You'd be very welcome to keep the foot down and just enjoy that twist and the opening at the front of the left hip, the left thigh. Breathing in and out. The fronts of the thighs really can get quite tight from sitting, from walking. Take another breath in and out. And then slowly, slowly release the left foot down. If you've been holding the foot, bring hands down, releasing the twist. And from here, send your pelvis back and slowly sit down either on or next to that left heel, and then bring the right buttock down and open your right hip. So now we leave the left foot next to the left buttock and we slowly lean back into a reclining deer pose. We continue opening at the front of the left thigh. And you could lean onto your hands. This could be plenty enough. Or if you want, you could lower down onto your elbows. You could also add a twist. I quite like on this side, just leaning onto the right elbow and then turning my upper body away from that left leg that I'm opening. And that little extra twist is quite nice sensation from the left leg all the way into the torso. So adding a twist might be quite nice, but feel free to choose option that works best for you now. Take a couple more breaths in and out, keeping shoulders, keeping neck soft. And then when you feel ready to slowly release, press down onto your elbows, onto your hands, bring yourself up into a seat. And we have our right shin, they're almost in that pigeon shape. So slowly just walk forward and settle into the pigeon on the other side. You can adjust the legs. But now we come into the right side of the pigeon. So either extend your left leg behind you, or you have the same option as on the first side. Bend that back leg and lean more onto the right hip, whichever way you prefer. But now we're going to look for sensations more in the right buttock, right thigh, maybe front of that left leg. And we keep the upper body in a more upright shape. Again, if having it completely upright doesn't feel good, you could lean slightly forward, but still keeping the chest open. So kind of encouraging our back to move away from a potentially hunched position. We might have spent some time hunching over our desk, our computer today. So just giving some opening along the front with our practice today. Again, checking shoulders, neck could stay soft. Not building tension somewhere else when we're trying to release another area. Let's take another breath in and out here. And then slowly bring hands to a place where you could lean onto your hands and lift yourself onto all fours, extending then the right leg behind you, tuck the right foot toes under, and we start to do that rocking movement from right foot to the hands. So again, just kind of gently pumping into the right foot, right ankle, calf, and giving some movement for the wrists as well. Here as well, check the neck is not tense. Let's do a couple more rocking movements. And then lower both knees down. Bring toes under and send the pelvis up. That brief downward dog. Let yourself go upside down. And then we are going to step the left foot forward into that lizard lunge. And we're going to bring the right knee down. And again, if you have blocks there that you want to use, bring the blocks in. We're going to leave right hand down and then twist out to the left side. Reach left arm behind you. If you want, you can release the arm behind the back. And you're very welcome to see if you can bend the right knee and reach left hand to the right foot or ankle. You can see what feels good for you on this side. We're trying to open through the front of that right hip, thigh. Giving a bit of twisting for the spine, opening through the shoulders and chest. Breathe another couple of times in and out. And then if you are holding the right foot, slowly let go of the foot, bring the shin down, hands down, and start to shift the weight back. So this is where we're now sitting onto or next to the right heel. Then bring the pelvis down, the left buttock down, and open the left hip. So we're going to go into that reclining deer. The right foot is close to the right buttock. Left hip is in a more open shape. And walk hands behind the pelvis. Again, this could be plenty enough to stay on the hands, to open through the front of the right leg. If you're too close to the wall, you can move away from the wall. So that if you want, you can lean onto elbows if you want to go a bit lower down. Or like I showed on the first side, you could just lean onto your left elbow here and then twist your chest away from the right leg. So adding that twist, a bit like turning your right shoulder away from the right knee, away from the right thigh. It might add something to your pose. It definitely adds something to my reclining deer. So I'm giving you this option here to add the twist. But wherever you are, keep breathing. Send your breaths to those areas where it's needed most right now. Let's take a couple more breaths in and out. And then after those couple of breaths, gently, gently push yourself up into a seat. And now we're going to release the legs. Bring both legs in front of you and check that you have some space behind you. And then from that seat, roll down onto your back. And make sure you have some space on both sides as you come lying down on your back. We're going to come into a twist, and there's an option to extend one leg out to the side. So from lying down on your back, bring both legs to your right side, leaving chest open up towards the ceiling, so a reclining twist. Now, if you want, you could extend your left leg out to the right side of the mat and then reach right hand maybe to the left foot or shin or knee. And that might give just a bit more of an opening and stretch on the outside of that left hip, maybe in the lower back or along that left leg. So that is an option now in this twist. If you feel it's too much or it's not helpful for the twist, then you're very welcome to keep the knees bent. Breathe in and out. Still keeping shoulders soft, keeping neck soft. You might turn hip to one side or the other if you want. Let's take another breath here. And then slowly, slowly release the left foot, the left leg. Roll back onto your back. And we're going to twist to the other side. So now bring both knees, both legs to the left side of the mat. Leave the chest open, maybe opening the right arm out to the side. And then you have an option to extend the right leg, so the top leg out to the side of the mat. And you could support that leg with your left hand, so maybe holding the right foot or holding the right shin or knee. And just breathe in and out. Let the exhalation soften tension. Let's take one more breath in and out. And then slowly release that right leg. Bring both legs back to the center. And we're going to come into a short resting pose. This could be a Shavasana pose. Or if today you would like to do a reclining butterfly pose, you could now open your legs so that your knees turn out to the sides. And if you have props there and you want to bring props under your knees or thighs or under the pelvis, you're very welcome to do so. So Shavasana pose or reclining butterfly, you choose. And you might bring arms overhead if you want. And then focus on your breaths. Let your body, let your mind at this point transition slowly into whatever you might do now after work, with your evening at home or with friends or at your hobbies. Exhaling tensions that you might have built up, gathered during the day. Take another few breaths in and out. And if you now feel that you would like to extend your resting pose, you are very, very welcome to stay in your resting pose for longer. Stay there as long as you want, as long as it's needed today. Or if this is now a good time to end your practice, slowly from your Shavasana pose or from that reclining butterfly, bend your knees, bring the feet, the soles of the feet onto the mat. Bring arms down if you've had them over the head. And then from your back, roll down onto one side, either left or the right side, to slowly bring yourself up into a seat. If you wish to end your practice in a seat, wherever you are, give yourself a few more breaths to slowly let go of your working day, let go of your yoga practice, slowly transitioning to whatever you are going to do tonight, your free time. But before we do that, thank yourself for allowing this time to check in, to see how you're feeling this afternoon, this evening. And I thank you very much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Namaste. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you for joining in. I do hope you enjoyed the practice. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and you could leave your comments below. Let me know how you feel, or maybe what kind of practices you would like to see in the future on this channel. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. There will be loads more yoga related videos coming up. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.